Welcome to Retro Bassin. Well, if you watch this channel at all, and you can see in the background of my Retro Bassin studio, you know that I've got a little bit of a tackle box problem. I am definitely a vintage and antique lure collector, but to me there is nothing that really captures the nostalgia of the golden days of bass fishing quite like a big old Plano tackle box. These days most folks are probably carrying their tackle in clear boxes like this, but there was a time when the big old tackle boxes ruled the carpet decks of bass boats. In fact, at the first ever Bassmaster Classic, contestants were only allowed to bring 10 pounds of tackle. And I think this might have contributed to some of the larger tackle boxes of the era. Well, recently I was flipping through one of my Bass Pro Shops master catalogs, this one from 40 years ago, the 1985 Master Catalog. I was gonna do a video on the vintage lures of 1985, and I still might do that, but I went down a vintage tackle box rabbit hole, and I gotta tell you, I think 1985 might have been the golden era of bass tackle boxes. Interestingly enough, I own a lot of boxes from this exact catalog, so I thought I would do a little walkthrough of the tackle box section of this catalog and also show you some of the boxes that I've got in my personal collection, and I'll give you my thoughts. Stick around.
Retro bassin', kicking some assin', wearing rayon jackets. Thinking about Bill Dance, watching these fish prance through my Ray-Ban glasses. Ain't nothing better than 40-year-old lures coming off of Zepco 33. Out on the bass boat, making beer cans float, doing some trespassing. Fishing it old school, this old stuff rules. Welcome to Retro Bassin'.
All right, well, first things first, I do have to clear the deck a little bit because and this one we'll get to, by the way. Stick around. This will be the last one I review. The classic UMCO possum belly. This thing is an old school monster. Okay, here is my 1985 Bass Pro Shops Master Catalog. This is an oldie, but a goodie. I love these things. I've got a pretty solid collection of the Master Catalogs behind me. And I remember back in the day, before you could get to a Bass Pro Shops in about 60 minutes, no matter where you live in the country, you had to go through the old Bass Pro Shops Master Catalog and place your order either by the 888 number or by fax. All right, well, let's go ahead and get this thing on the tabletop and get a look at it. Classic OG Bass Pro Shops logo with the old school bass. 1985 catalog, the world's leading supplier of premium fishing tackle. And by the way, while we're getting to the tackle box section, I'll show you the quick insert of how you used to have to order from this magazine. So here we go. So this is an actual order form where you would fill out the order. Looks like this is sort of a little example here. You go ahead and put in the page number, the quantity, item number, color, size, all written by hand. And then you could take that order and either you could send it to the toll-free number by giving them a call, or you could actually mail it in. Can you imagine actually taking the time to fill that out, mail in your order, and then wait for your goods to come back? In the era of Amazon, I cannot imagine too many bass and buds would have the patience for that. Well, the first spread we've got in this Bass Pro Shops catalog is dedicated to Plano tackle boxes. It's gonna be the first two of many Plano pages, I'm sure, but this is a pretty good display of some of their newer models. So these are the Magnum series. It was an interesting series. I think they've morphed into some similar ones. I don't see this actual amber on tan color so much anymore. I see them in Academy Sports and Bass Pro, sort of a green and blue plastic variety, but I love this OG amber. So here we've got the 119 Magnum. That's a jumbo worm box, hopefully worm proof, for $10.90. What a deal there. We've also got the Sidekick, a 29 compartment mini Magnum. That's for $7.90, and you gotta love the prices from 40 years ago. Honestly, not quite as low as I thought they would be. Pop it on down here, we've got another mini Magnum. This one for $3.49. The Go Anywhere tackle box, and then the micro for $1.90. That is pretty cool. Scooting on over here, we've got the 1123 Magnum, and then also the 1126. Now, I do have a pretty significant collection of Plano tackle boxes. I don't know which of these I have, so let's go ahead and pop some of the ones I've got on the table and take a look. So the first one I've got is this. This is the Mini Magnum Sidekick, and it looks like this is the 3215N. And so that is this exact one right here. There it is. This one doesn't have the satchel on the top. It actually just has a little handle here. So this is a really cool two-sided tackle box. It's got one side and then the other will go through each. And I just love the gold logo on here. So this thing pops open and there you go. What's kind of nice about this is it does have some compartments, different sizes and different depths. This side is actually kind of shallow and this side is deeper. So you can put a variety of lures in here. And of course, like most Planos, they've got some removable and reorganizable little inserts there. So that's side one of the Mini Magnum Sidekick, and then side number two, and this one actually still has the artwork on it, which I'm gonna leave on there as long as I can. The other side, this is probably more of a ultralight side, really thin, small sizes, or you could actually put some weights or I guess hooks in there. And it just kind of snaps shut. This is actually a great looking little travel pack, and yeah, I can totally see carrying this thing around the bank on some bank fishing excursions that pretty much carry all the tackle you would need. And again, for $7.90, that would not be a bad deal. All right, next of my Plano Magnum, I've got an 1126, which I don't think is actually mentioned in the catalog. So this one is sort of intermediary size. Again, the theme for a lot of these Magnums is they've got two sides. This is one, and then you've got the other. So the first side here, it actually has some trays that are preset. Nothing you can take out, which is interesting. And we've got all the paperwork in there as well. Personalized name. What is this? A little catalog. Tired of coming home skunked? Well, yes, I am, if you've seen this show. And also, what is new for 1992? Okay, so that's why. 85 catalog, new tackle box for 92. And by the way, that might be worth doing a walkthrough at some point as well. So there we've got that. We've also got this. Ooh, the old Angler's Ethics. Hold on. Should we read this? I think maybe we should. We'll see. What are the Angler's Ethics in 92? Number one, keep only the fish needed. That's true. Do not pollute. Number three, sharpen angling and boating skills. Both things that I'm working on. Number four, observe angling and boating safety regulations. Okay, clearly you've never watched wavy boats. Number five, respect other anglers' rights. Okay. Number six, respect property owners' rights, i.e. no trespassing. Okay. Number seven, pass on knowledge and angling skills. If I had any bass and buds, I certainly would. Number eight, support local conservation efforts. Number nine, never stock fish or plants into public water. Clearly, they've never been to a Miami canal. And number 10, promote the sport of angling. All right. Nice little PSA in the old Plano Magnum tackle box. And the other side here, it's actually still got the artwork on it, which is pretty cool, and I will leave that on there as well. And we'll just pop this open real quick. Another side. Interesting, these don't come out, which honestly I kind of like. I feel like the ones that come out, a lot of times I'll lose a hook underneath that little partition. And now the last of the Magnum that I've got in my collection, all these are actually still new old stock, is this one, the 1162, which I believe was in the catalog. Yep. That is the 1162 Magnum, the number one Magnum box for $14.90. Good looking box, actually. Really a big one as well. So here's the first side. It comes with 2 latches. A little more secure than the old Sidekick. Opens up and there you go. You could put just about any kind of lure you wanted to in there, minus a big old swim bait. And then the other side, we've still got the label on there as well. And hopefully no PSAs I've got to read. Oh, there we go. Look at that. That thing is new old stock. I think there's a reason I did not actually get this one on the water. This was so clean. One day when we get the old retro BASSIN tackle shop, brick and mortar up and running, I'll probably have a little new old stock tackle box section. So I was going to add this to it. But that is the last of the Plano Magnums, a great line of old school tackle boxes. All right, we got 2 more tackle boxes on this page. First one is this one, the Rock and Rind, the ultimate spinnerbait and pork rind box. If I had one of those BASSIN buds, I would totally be clinging onto that for dear life. Look at how cool all those dividers are on the bottom of that thing. Yeah, that one has Retro's name written all over it. Now this one is interesting, the 767 Magnum, versatility at its best. This is a big old tackle box for $21.90, and I don't have that one, but I've got, which might be probably not a predecessor, but maybe a sort of an offspring of that one, and that is this box, the old Super Magnum. This is the 1234 Magnum. I imagine it's probably pretty similar, and this is a really unique looking box. It's got this nice handle on it as well, and it's got a couple of latches. One here and one here. So I don't know if I'm going to open this up in the air or on the box or on the table. We'll see. Okay, so here we go. I think I'll do it right here on this big wide angle. So look at the way that sucker opens up. I think kind of like that Magnum in the catalog. That is pretty cool. It's got a nice display for some spinnerbaits here. We've got some other areas for lures. And then look at this. Another compartment with a little flip side. Man, this thing had a lot of engineering in it. You just do not see tackle boxes built like this anymore. Maybe for good reason, I don't know. But that is super cool. Can I get it closed? We'll see. There we go. Now, okay, I imagine this thing probably, I could see these doors getting broken off in the heat of a fishing frenzy, trying to get this thing closed. Maybe that's something to do with why the old Magnum 1, 2, 3, 4 is no longer available. But either way, that is a honey of a looking tackle box. Another 2-page spread dedicated to the Planos. Man, just a wide range of tackle boxes here, going from as cheap as, let's see here, $19.90. So we're kind of getting into the bigger boxes here, all the way up to the monster, the 777RN for $49.90. Now, I don't have some of the smaller boxes, but I do have a couple of the mid-ranges. And the first one I think that I've got is this one, the 757, the great value saver for $21.90. Let's double check and see if this is in fact that box. I believe that it is. We'll see if it's labeled on the inside, but I'm pretty sure that is the 757. We are already getting into some bigger boxes. This thing is no joke for sure. What I do like about this box, and it's kind of my saltwater box, is it's got a really big compartment up top. So up in the very top of this thing, got a lot of room for leaders, fishing maps, whatever it is that you want, rigs, up in the very top of the box. Now let's see if I had any paperwork in here. Just a little card here, but it doesn't say what number it is, but I'm pretty sure this is the old 757. Now down below, this is kind of cool on this one. It's got this little door that flips down, and inside there you get 1, 2, 3, 4 different pull-out drawers. And each of these are pretty long, so for me, a lot of saltwater baits that I've got in here. Got some mirror lures and some OG bingos and such. So this is definitely not a bank box. I think this is probably the biggest box that we've gone through today. It is a good boat box, but if you want to kind of have a mix of some terminal tackle up top and some other stuff down below, this is the perfect one. I should weigh that, by the way. That is definitely over the old 10-pound Bassmaster Classic limit. So moving on, we've got some more Planos here. The first of the utility boxes, which would later take over all of the tackle box industry. And then we've got some other interesting boxes over here. The one I want to focus on is this one, the 6303. In fact, all of these are 6303s, and here is the exact one from that catalog. It's still got the old 6303 sticker on it. Of course, I've put a Retro Bass sticker on it because I just can't help doing that. And this is a really cool box. What I like about these boxes for me is I don't try to get every lure I've got, but I kind of have each one of these dedicated to a different either lure maker or style of fishing. This one, you can tell, is my Pose tackle box. And it's got 3 different layers on it, which is great, 3 different levels, and a ton of space at the bottom as well. So what I like about this, at least as far as my fishing goes, is let's say I want to go out and do a Pose episode, which I haven't done in a while. I would just go ahead and grab this 6303 box, have all the Pose that I could ever want to use in it, and then we are off to the lake. This is a good looking box as well. It's easy to carry. You could actually fish this thing on the bank as well. And you can even carry this around ICAST if you're trying to crash a few different lure makers with some old school gold. So that's probably my favorite of the Planos. And this one was available in 1985 for $11.90. Not too bad of a deal. Who knew that tackle boxes were this intense 40 years ago? Well, here's a great 2-page spread dedicated to the defunct line of Rebel tackle boxes. This page means even more to me after getting to spend some time with my new friend Buddy Perrin, of course, the heir to the Rebel lure name, and heard some really cool stories from Buddy about how this exact tackle box was developed. These kind of started out being all worm-proof because of some of their early issues with the ringworm. So here's a really good spread of some Rebels. A lot of these I don't have, including this Excalibur, but a few of them I do, as you can see right here. So it looks like the Rebel tackle boxes kind of range in price, pretty comparable to the Planos of the day, as low as $10.90 all the way up to $27.90. And so let's go ahead and I'll show you some of the different Rebels I've got real quick before we kind of continue on. So this one is the Futura LX. I actually don't think this one is in the catalog, but this is a cool, almost sort of like a Plano Magnum tackle box. So like that one. This one, let's open this up and see if we can identify which from the catalog this is, or we could actually look at the handle because it says it right there. So this is the old 530. So this one was available for $10.90 in '85. And I don't have a ton of lures in this one yet, but you can see what that one looks like. That's a very usable, neat little tackle box, and probably the smallest of the, I would say, standard shaped boxes that I've got. What I like about the Rebel, a couple things. Obviously, the aesthetic is just amazing on these. There's just such a cool, old school stripe. I kind of feel like I should get that on the old retro truck. And you gotta love the orange on the inside. Definitely one of the best looking boxes in the market. And boy, I sure wish Pragco would maybe consider coming back out with these Rebel boxes. So here's another one. This is the 510. Now this one was not in the catalog, so I don't know if this is a newer one or an older one. And I put a little worming sticker on there because these things are worming proof. So this one, I actually do have some Rebel lures in it. It's just a single 1 tray. So really small tackle box. And I imagine you probably get this thing for under 10 bucks back then. And the last one I've got is the big boy, the old 600, which was available for $13.90, which is insane. This is, I would say, sort of the most comparable one to the Plano here. Similar in size. And check this thing out. By the way, I do have this thing loaded up with old school lures. I'm gonna be heading to ICAST in a couple of weeks, and I've been preparing for that by packing up some lures that I wanna try to crash some of the different companies and hopefully some of the different spokesmen with. Last year we had a blast going around showing some folks some old school lures that they probably forgot about and probably forgot they ever had their name on. And so that's what we're gonna do here. And my buddy signed this one as well. So this is a pretty special box for me. And yeah, I definitely would not let this thing go for $13.90. By the way, before I do clutter up this with any more tackle boxes, I do want to take a quick pause and send you guys over to Retro Bassin Tackle. You might have spied, if you follow me on Instagram, or if you can look right here, we have a brand new line of Retro Bassin merchandise. For about a year now, I've wanted to do a special sort of sub-line of Retro Bassin apparel dedicated to some of the classic fishing techniques of days gone past. Talking about slow rolling spinner baits, flipping jigs, cranking, popping, you name it. Well, like most things, I tended to go a little bit overboard, and I did here as well. So I came up with darn near a dozen different designs. So if you head on over to Retro Bassin Tackle, you can check out all of those different designs. I'll probably go through these in upcoming episodes a little bit. I'll start with the one that I'm wearing now just to show you guys. But this is the brand new Retro Bassin logo. I'm calling this the Bait Shack logo. All right, this hat comes in 4 different patterns, including this one, which is the marsh duck. The sienna duck. I love that orange. That is awesome. Harvest duck. And last but not least, saltwater duck. So if you head on over to retrobassintackle.com, you can check out these and the entire line of new Retro Bassin hats. And by the way, on any hat, I will throw in a Retro Bassin decal of your choice. All right, so let's keep on keeping on in the tackle box catalog. You know, there is no way I could ever get through just like one whole catalog in an episode. It would be like a 5-hour episode at the rate that I go through things. So next, we've got some interesting boxes here. I don't know exactly who makes this, but I happen to have this one. And this is the Bass Pro Shops branded Jig Pig Box. This is a super special, your choice, for $14.97. What is so cool about this box is it's got a spot for not only spinnerbaits, jigs, and also those glorious jars of pork rind. So here is that exact box. I've already got a Retro Bassin flipping decal on it. And this is the Bass Pro Shops Jig Pig Box, which, not surprisingly, is my own Jig Pig box. So this does say Excalibur on the handle, so this leads me to believe this was actually a Rebel-made box. I'll have to ask Buddy about that. And actually, you know what? It's totally a Rebel box. It's got that ribbing on it, so that's interesting. Okay, so I would bet I'd bet my bacon that this is a Rebel box of some sort. So it's got plastic latches here, opens on up, and let's take a look inside if I can open it. Ah, there we go. So this one looks like it's missing the spinnerbait compartment, but it does have a bunch of areas for jigs, a whole little pop down area for more jigs, and then also some spaces for your pork rind. So I love this box. It's a very specialized box, which is kind of cool, especially for me who I've got so many boxes, I'm trying to get them more specialized. So whenever we do any kind of old school jig or pork episodes, I'll definitely be having the old Jig Pig box with me. This was a tough find, by the way. They don't make many of these, or they don't have many still around. I remember when I saw this thing pop up, probably on eBay, I scooped it right up, probably for a lot more than $14.97. Okay, moving on to the next page here, I want to focus on this, the old fishing partner, the tackle box that you wear. I actually do have one of these boxes. This is a pretty cool box. You don't look pretty cool when you're wearing it, but it's a pretty cool box. It's meant to be worn sort of like a fanny pack for fishermen. And the way it works is it's got a little latch here. If I can open it, it pops down, kind of wearing it like that. And should I put it on? All right, I'll put it on. Why not? Do you know how embarrassed the kids would be if I actually wore this thing out in public? Okay, so here we go. So here is the Bass Pro Shops Fishing Partner Box. So you wear it like that, which is pretty cool. Your hands are free to do all kinds of fishy stuff. When you pop it open, there you go. And then you can kind of mess with any tackle that you have. I kind of like that. Now, truth be told, this is pretty small. There's not a ton of room in here, unfortunately. So this is really sort of like for some ultralight spinning rod bank fishing where you're not going to have a lot of stuff. You can't even put a full fishing pliers in here. But got a little bit of tackle you want to put in there, and you want to look pretty sweet while doing it. Get yourself a fishing partner. I feel like I should do a full episode on this thing. That is one of the most glorious, ludicrous looking things I think I've ever seen. All right, moving on. Oh boy, here we go. Yeah, this is the one I've been waiting on. The world's largest tackle box. It is, in fact, the world's largest tackle box. It is a monster of a box. This, of course, is the classic UMCO 4500. The hip roofs and possum belly. This is a monster of a box. It's got a two-part thing. I'll get it on the table, but first I want to kind of go through this with you. So first off, this is not a cheap box. Even in 1984, this thing cost darn near 85 bucks. I can only imagine by today's standards, that is almost a $200 box for sure. But when you look at all you get, it's probably worth it. Not including the gym membership, which you won't need by lugging this monster around. So here it is. It comes with a number of different trays on either side. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. So 10 trays. We'll double check it with mine. But the best part is down below, there is a cooler. Now I've got my cooler intact. I don't actually have any beer in there. I think I might have some pork rind. But it's just a really glorious looking box in a couple different colors. But this, of course, is the classic brown. So without further ado, let's get mine on the table to show you. This thing is just insane. It's so big that I can't even keep it in frame with this wide angle lens. I don't know how I'm going to show this to you. Maybe in parts. Okay, so the first thing I'm going to do is you unlatch at the bottom and you can remove this. So it does remove into two parts. So I'll put this over the side. Here is your cooler. Again, my cooler is filled up with pork rind, so it makes it even heavier, actually. But I can imagine if you had some sort of cold Coors Lights and some ice, yeah, you're talking about a heavy thing. But it does have some insulation, which is nice, and you gotta wonder how long these latches would last. But that's the bottom, which I'll put over on the side now. And then here is the main part of the box. Now you could use this just solo, but the bottom looks a little janky because it doesn't have that sort of possum belly on it. But we'll go ahead and open this sucker up for the camera. So it does open side to side, and here we go. Ready? Oh, look at that. That is one of the coolest things ever. So let's do a quick count here. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. So we do have 10 different trays on this one. This is not necessarily a fishing box for me. I don't know if you can tell, but I've got a bunch of, if I can get them out of here, new in the package, old school baits that I kind of put in here for display purposes. But you literally could fit just about every lure you own in something like this. That being said, I think you're probably gonna be over that 10-pound limit for the old Bassmaster Classic. And in addition to these 10 trays, it does have, look at it, fit my whole arm in there. It's got a ton of space down below where you can also put, honestly, just about anything that won't fit into the cooler. So I think this is a great box, probably not for bank fishing, but if you were looking to take like a big fishing trip or even a long-term vacation, perhaps save on a storage place, just get one of these giant possum belly tackle boxes, and you'll have all the things you need. This one actually held up pretty well over the years. It closes up, you put one side down, then the other, you latch it up like this. It is a little fragile, and obviously this box cost a few bucks when I got it, so I'm always careful when I get this thing out, and I don't fish with it too much. But there we go. That is a great example of a classic possum belly, the largest tackle box in the world. Now that I'm properly winded, we can move on to the rest of the catalog. All right, so here we have the old Flambeau Adventurer line. It doesn't say Flambeau on here, but I'm pretty sure these are all Flambeau tackle boxes. Actually, one of my favorite lines that doesn't get as much love as the Planos, but I always love these boxes. So these range in size and also price from as little as $15.90 all the way up to $54.90. So let's go ahead and look at one of the Flambeaus that I've got here. This one is the Adventurer 2713. That one is here available for $14.90. And again, from a size, this is sort of the comparable version to that big Rebel and also the Plano 6303. Just a really good all-around box. This one I've got a hidden sticker because you probably could guess it at this point. This is my hidden box. So in this one, I've got 3 trays as well, a bunch of space down below, and it's pretty standard mix of some smaller trays or smaller compartments up top and bigger compartments down below. So yeah, this one is my pretty glorious Hedden box. I've got so much Hedden stuff to film, it's not even funny. And soon enough, Bass and Buds, soon enough. But that is another goodie. So they got the sticker here, but I love this logo here with the old bass on it, the old Adventurer. All right, that is not the biggest adventure that I have. I actually have the bigger one, which is either the 2275 or 76. We'll look at it in a second, that I picked up on a trip to California a few years ago. This one I actually picked up used, and I actually got it for a lot cheaper than $54.90. Oh gosh, here we go. This thing's a monster. So here we go. So this is my Adventurer. Does it say what number? It says Bass Tamer. I'm going to assume that this is at one of the two. It doesn't matter. But either way, I got this thing for $14, just about $15 used. Came with a couple of cool stickers, one that wasn't in too good shape that I swapped out. And this, I mean, aside from the pork rind monstrosity of the possum belly, this might be the heaviest tackle box that I own. I actually weighed this on my retro bass and tackle scale, and this thing came in at 16 pounds dry and empty. So you can only imagine what this thing would weigh if you actually had some stuff in it. So this one does have a door. I'll try to get it in frame. The door kind of opens up, and there you've got different trays. Okay, so this is definitely the old 75 because of the color and the size of that bottom tray. So it's got one big old bottom tray here, and 1, 2, 3, 4 trays, which is kind of cool. Now there is one nice thing about this Adventurer. It's got a little tab here. You can actually remove trays and then clean them out and put them back. We'll see if I can get it back. And look at that, it actually goes back pretty well. The only trick with this door is a little bit fragile, so you just want to make sure you have that in a good angle before you flip it up. And there we go, that is my Adventurer. And I gotta tell you, if you were to take this thing on the bank or honestly somebody's boat, it would be an adventure because I think most bass boats probably would tilt a little bit with the weight of this monster thing. No workout today for old retro. All right, here's the last 2-page spread dedicated to old school tackle boxes, a 2-page spread dedicated to Fenwick. Now, there are some really cool designs that I don't have that I would love to get a hold of, including this one, this 35.1, which looks like a cross between the possum belly and also that Adventure. Not a cheap box though, $59.90 back in '85. But I want to focus on these two over here. First off, the 20 compartment BASSIN box, and also this one, the tandem. So the BASSIN box, I think I've got something that is similar to that, and that is this, a Fenwick one-sider. Yep, definitely looks like the BASSIN box, but this one, of course, is a color selector box. This is one of the coolest boxes that I think I own. It's not in the catalog, but I kind of had to show it to you guys. And what's so cool about this is it's got different colors where you can store different color selector lures. Now, what's interesting is the size of the box inside has nothing to do with the color at all. So, you know, God forbid you've got a bunch of gold and black. You're gonna fit them in one little tiny spot. All right, so I'm gonna go ahead and open this thing up. You can look inside and see. There we go. I've got just about every color selector lure I've got. Not exactly in order. I'm sure this doesn't line up exactly like chartreuse is down here, but you get the idea. So a neat little tackle box for sure. I think we need to do some more color selector stuff. So maybe this is a good reminder to get my old Lauryn Hill color selector out again. But that's the first of two different Fenwick boxes that I want to show you. Now the next one is a very functional box. So this I think is that $11.90 one. This is a Fenwick Eagle box, probably a later version of this one. I think this is not a circa 1985 box, but an awesome two-sided box. And as you could probably tell, both by the sound of this thing and also the sticker, this is my lipless crankbait box. So I'll get ahead and open this thing up real quick, show you guys what we have inside. And so yeah, this actually I found is a very functional box for lipless crankbaits. The compartments are almost the perfect size, and as you can tell, I've got a lot of them from a lot of different lure makers. We'll flip this over to the other side. It's a lot of lead in here. Oh, I almost spilled those all over. Wow, that would have been awful. And there we go, some more lipless crankbaits as well. So this is a pretty cool tackle box, I think, because the size of the compartments are very consistent and almost the perfect size for that little 1/4 ounce to 1/2 ounce lipless crankbait that I like to throw so often. And boy, if you get this thing for $11.90 today, that would be a honey of a deal. And all right, well, that wraps up this 1985 Bass Pro Shops Master Catalog. Drop a comment down below. Let me know what section of this catalog you want to see me go through next. Some options, certainly could do some boats, apparel, rods and reels, maybe hard baits, spinner baits and jigs, or even soft plastics. Don't forget to head on over to Retro Bass and Tackle to check out all the latest merchandise that we have available. We'll go through this stuff in a little bit more detail in some upcoming episodes. And if you guys are looking for some more old school content, well, you can click right here. Otherwise, we'll see you right back here in the Retro Bass Studio. And until then, keep that carpet side up and definitely fish it old school.
Fishing it old school, this old stuff rules. Welcome to Retro Bass.